It takes it a second to load up.
It says live on YouTube, so.
Does it? Because it's not showing. Okay, here it. Nope.
Yeah, I
Maybe
have you
it's-
live.
Okay. I put it on the Barry Lawrence one this time, Greg, instead of mine. So. Okay, so I need okay, got to mute it now. So now I got to, where is my Zoom? Okay, sorry, I had to switch back to the Zoom because the YouTube one's always delayed. So, okay, Jeannie, you're on.
Welcome and thank you for coming this morning. Glad to see you all. Let's start this meeting. Kurt, you're up.
Well, that was fast. Tell you what, is it okay if I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can get this to work.
I don't see Julie. That's not.
All right, can everybody see that screen?
Yes.
I'll just run through this real quick. I figure if I do it this way, it's a little easier than having you guys page through your copies. Once again, we're doing the audit for June 30, 2020.
She's coming.
Let me page down to the most important parts. This is the opinion. Basically, what this is we did not find any material errors. We did make a few adjustments and corrections, but in terms of finding any errors or discrepancies, we didn't locate any through the audit. Okay. This, if you remember, we have two different presentations for the financials. We have this one, which is more of your typical business, where we have capital assets and accrual for certain things, like if you had debt, which you don't have any right now. So this is pretty much a balance sheet. For the year, in unrestricted cash, now remember that means we can use it for practically any purposes. You had a total of about $1,092,000. For unrestricted, or I'm sorry, restricted, which means you got them for specific purposes by donors, you have $425,000 in cash.
Yes.
Receivables and prepaids, those two numbers right there were pretty similar to last year, so there wasn't much change. Capital assets, same thing. There wasn't a lot of change from prior year in those numbers. Accounts payable, there was a little bit of an uptick in accrued wages. I think as a result of the coronavirus, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in this because no one's been going anywhere. So we've been seeing accrued wages, which is typically vacation and other things. We've seen that kind of tick up a little. All right. You'll see there's our restricted. What this is, these are donor restrictions. So this is what we have in terms of donor restrictions for these specific purposes.
That's
Okay.
That's good to know because that has the amounts that are left in those.
Okay, and then this is pretty much our what we call a GAAP income statement, just kind of sideways. So you can see for the expenses we have 1.9 million. Now this does include depreciation on your assets, which was a little over somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000, if I remember correctly. That's your charges for various services, copying, things like that. These are some grants of about 45,000, almost 46,000. Property taxes, you'll see there 1.6. We had some grants and aids. So then total, we had a negative position of 88,000 loss, which was 81,000, almost 82,000 last year. So we had a loss of almost 6,000 more than prior year. Okay, so is there any questions on any of these? If anybody has a question as I go, yell at me. All right. Down here, this is more or less what we call cash basis. There's a few things that are receivables, like you'll see receivables and property tax receivables and prepaids. One thing we like to look at is in your unrestricted cash, we like to look at how many months of expenditures you can cover out of your cash, which is, kind of important for you guys considering most of your revenue is based on real estate and personal property tax. So you'll look, this year we have 6.28 months, which is pretty close because remember, right about now is when we start getting our revenues in. So making it 6 months at June 30 is basically where we want you guys. I mean, we'd like to see a little more, but that's pretty much your bare minimum is at 6 months. Your prior year, you were at 7.69. So you'll see you've had a little bit of a drop in your cash coverage from prior year. But if you look at your expenses, I mean, you had some pretty major repairs last year. And that's chewed up a lot of your free cash flow that you've had in years past. All right. Now, if we come down here and look at restrictions, you'll see there's not a lot of change there. The biggest chunk of that is going to be some earnings and contributions minus expenses. So this year we're about just a hair under 400,000, and last year we were 401,000. So there's not a lot of change. Committed, this is one where you committed an additional 100,000 over the year. So we're at 543,000 versus 443. And then assigned, see if I can get this down a little more. Assigned, you've actually increased it to because you did assign a little more to maintenance for this next year. So we're at 353 versus 230. And then on actual unassigned. New computers or anything that falls outside these areas. So last year we were at 784 versus 496 this year. So that's about a $288,000 decrease. Of that, 64,000 is a result of monies being committed or assigned. All right. I'm going to skip through these. Okay. Your revenue for the year increased 6.8% over prior year. Personnel cost, we're up 13%. See, these are your big ones. You'll see right here. Your repairs were up 57%. And capital outlay was up 47%. So you can see right there, that's where a big chunk of your decrease in assets available went down, was because of those two big increases. And you'll also note that total expenditures are up 8.8, which is a little bit more than your revenue. So revenue was up 6.8, but expenditures were up 8.8, which, and if you don't have as many repairs this next year, it should come back. And then actually, basically the net profit last year was about 28,000. This year was 64,000 loss. So that's an additional loss of about 36,000 compared to prior year. And finally, there's one last thing I wanted to show you. Let's see if I can find it. Here, bank balance. What this is this is the total amount of monies you had in the bank. That includes both restricted and unrestricted. Now remember, this is going to vary because you've got some uncleared checks that hadn't cleared at the end of the year. But your actual cash that was sitting in the bank increased almost 89,000 compared to prior year. Does anybody else have any questions before I stop my share?
Why does it say bank balance and book balance?
Okay, the bank balance is the amount that's actually held at the bank as of June 30. The book balance is the amount that we actually show on your check register. So think of
Okay.
that difference being the uncleared transactions, the ones that hadn't actually processed through the bank.
Yeah,
Okay.
book balance means a whole different thing to a librarian.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
was like, I
I
thought,
know.
like, do we have that much in books?
Wow.
Sorry.
Well, actually, if we want to see what we have in value for books, is we show the value about 2.4 million, which is
Wow.
probably a little high because we've got some deletions we need to get probably caught up on in there. But based on what we have for estimated cost, we have it at about 2.4.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like me to go over while I'm on the screen share?
Good.
Looks
All right.
good. I gotta learn to do that screen share. I need somebody to show that to me.
It's just a little button down there at the bottom.
I'm sure it is.
All right, that's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah. Was there anything that you found that I would not look good in orange wearing?
Well, I don't know. I've never seen you in orange, Joyce.
So I'd like to keep it that way. So we didn't find any real problems.
No. I mean, everything was fairly consistent throughout the financial, except for, of course, your major expenditures and repairs and capital outlay. I mean, that was a significant change. I mean, even though your personnel costs were up, let's face it, you guys increase wages across the board. So I mean, that's realistic that we would see that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kurt. We
You're welcome.
Thank you,
appreciate
Kurt. We appreciate you coming.
Thank
This was
you.
the easiest meeting, wasn't it? You didn't have to leave your office.
Well, I kind of like being able to walk you through the financial like this. It makes it a little easier than having
I
everybody
liked
go
it.
through the pages.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
See you next year.
We'll see you. Thanks again.
October minutes.
Wait, we need a motion. You
Yeah.
have to accept the audit.
Sorry.
I make that motion.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Charles.
Charles and Janine.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Do we want to skip down to Paragon?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that so that they don't have to hang out, and listen to us.
Okay, Jessica, you're on.
Am I up?
No,
Jessica, Alex, whoever.
actually, it's me. And they're
Okay.
here just, I think, in a supporting role. We'll see. They may
Yes.
take over. I may screw this up, but Alex sent a copy of the document that's labeled B101 and the document labeled A201. And then there was an extra one that I think was Exhibit A. The Exhibit A that was the separate document is actually the most created exhibit, and it replaces the one that was inside B101. And although they look pretty similar to me.
They,
At any
they
rate-
are, we screwed up the fee at the very top and didn't catch it until after we'd sent it.
So that's why you've got two Exhibit A's, but the one that was the separate document is the correct one. So I took all this over, these many pages over to the lawyer that here in town, Weber Law, and he looked through everything and we found 2 or 3 little minor things that I've already talked to Alex about. One of them was some contradictions about the geotechnical engineer, and so that's been fixed. It looked like it wasn't ours to hire separately, and then somewhere it said it was ours to hire separately, but it's actually part of the scope of the project.
If on your copies, if you've got hard copies or you're looking at anything, if you strike section 5.5, that will be removed.
This is a lot of language, and it's a pretty standard contract. So there's just a couple of things that the lawyer wanted me to point out to you that were important. If you look at Article 5, that whole section outlines our responsibilities, the owner of the project's responsibilities. So we want to make sure that you read over that. And as Alex mentioned, 5.5 is stricken from there. And then also you want to make sure you review well Article 6, which is the cost of the work. That outlines our responsibilities in there. And if you go to Article 11, that's where it talks about the architect fees. The total fee for the project is $352,000, and we don't pay all that up front. There's a schedule of payment, and we've already paid $32,000 for the initial design, which is that the schematic design phase?
The way that we're treating it is that it's not included in any of those percentages. So the
Okay.
schematic design phase will be 15% of 320,000, not 352.
Is there anything you need to point out to him, Alex, from this? Of the B101 that's important?
Right. The sections that Gina was referencing, 5 and 6, cost of work, to bottom line it or give you context as you're reading it, it's really about making sure that the architect and the client are working together to set a budget and stick to the budget. We can't stick to a budget we don't know the number of, and you'd be surprised how many times that happens. And you are contractually obligating us to work with the best of intentions to get to that budget. So it's that teeter-totter balance being between those two. The fee numbers, Gina had referenced, Mr. Piter, that you look particularly closely at the numbers. One of the things we thought we'd just say, and we've talked about this with Gina and Joyce, that if you broke it down like most people do as percentage of construction costs, that percentage is quite high. Keep in mind that that number also reflects doing schematic design twice. It represents landscaping, geotechnical survey. There's a whole lot of services that would typically occur as a contract from Barry Lawrence directly to that engineer that we are taking on for this, so that our numbers don't go up any, but because the total bucket goes up, it looks like we're charging a lot more money in relation, if that makes sense. Gina, Joyce, was there anything else we talked about that I think that about covers the big stuff.
So she's using the phone. The A201 document is the contract for construction, and I think, Alex, I hope I say this right, it's actually supporting document for the contract, correct?
Yes, with one addition.
Okay.
So there's the contract between Paragon and Barry Lawrence, and there'll be the contract between the construction manager and Barry Lawrence. The A2-1 doesn't get signed, but it's referenced in by both contracts. It becomes the rules that everybody follows to play nice together. It's the requirements that say, CM, you're supposed to do this with the architect. Architect, you're supposed to do this with the CM. Because we don't actually contract with the construction manager, that's our way of saying, this is what they're responsible for, this is what we're responsible for, here's what working together looks like.
Accidentally. So, and Gina, you'll be the one on here signing the contract.
Yes, I saw that.
Don't be nervous. It's all on you.
Okay.
Okay. My first question was, did we have a lawyer look at it? And you answered that already. Because there's a whole lot here that goes right over my head.
Same here.
We need a motion to approve
Yeah.
and to sign this.
Yeah. And then once, I think, then they can make this not a draft anymore, and then you'll sign the real contract.
So I don't know how the board motions go. Can you guys approve a contract, a final draft that we haven't sent you yet?
What was the question?
They could approve the contract so you can move forward, and then we could just do, if they don't want to approve it for Gina to sign until they actually see the final, we can always send that by email, and they can do a email vote.
Okay.
And that way
Again,
you don't have to wait till December. We can get it done.
right. That doesn't concern us. It's mostly about getting that contract going before the construction manager. Paragon has no win or lose on that timeline.
There really won't be any changes other than the ones we just talked about, and they fixed our name. They took the word county out of it, which is all Alex's fault.
Yeah, exactly. Gina and Joyce, the other thing I thought I'd bring up, the irrigation fee increase. I talked about that with Brad Irwin. Brad said that should be less than $500. We're not accepting $2,500 from the civil engineer. So what we're going to do is just keep the fee at $352,000. We're not going to up it. And we'll work with the civil engineer, or what Brad said is Paragon will just specify the sprinkler system ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, we like that. Much better.
That's a whole lot better.
Yeah. So heads up, Jessica.
So you all decide how you want to do the contract, if you want to draw it out, or if we just take care of it now.
Well, I think to keep things moving, we need to take care of it now. And can't we say we approve it with the removal of paragraph 5.5?
Yeah.
Or 5.5 and
I
if
think
there's
that's
no,
what we've done before.
Yeah.
You approve it with the changes that were outlined.
yes. So we need a motion for that, please.
I make a motion to approve with the outlines.
Julie and Wendy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. It is approved.
Okay, just a couple of things that didn't get on the agenda since Alex and Jessica are here. Just to give you a little update on where we are in the CMR timeline. We did post the ad, the whatever description, that's what I want to say, in the Springfield News Leader, in the Lawrence County Record, and in the Monette Times. And we've gotten 6 or 7, is that right, Jessica, requests? Something like that, 6. And it's most of those, all of those, I think just about came from them pointing those to the people they typically have seen apply for those. position or for this position. So, so just a reminder, Monday, the qualifications are due to the regional office by 1. So you all need to decide what time you want to read those names. I don't think it'll take 5 minutes. And I'll post it. I do have to post it as a meeting, and Gina will have to call it to order. We'll read the names, then you guys will make a motion to close the meeting and we're done. And we'll have to YouTube it and all that stuff. So it might take 6 minutes. So do you want to do it right at 1? Do you want to do it at 1:30, or do you want to do it like at 2 o'clock? In case we have that last minute straggler.
What do you think's best?
I would say like 1:30 would be what I'd do, just in case somebody comes in at 12:59.
My suggestion is to do it as quickly after 1 o'clock as possible so that nobody can come back and say that so-and-so opened too early or whatever. So there's no room in there for complaining, basically.
How about
Do you think like 1:15?
That would be perfect.
Okay.
They know they have to be in on time. This isn't their first rodeo.
Yeah.
Yep.
They know what they have to do.
That and about 4 of them will show up at 12:55.
That's what I figure. I think we had that happen before.
Yeah.
We did the Mount Vernon project. And then we had somebody who turned it in late and they were mad that they didn't get considered.
Too bad.
I know.
Yeah.
We were like,
Too bad.
oh, well. And it was incomplete. So that double whammy.
Probably didn't want them anyway.
Yeah. So that's on Monday, the 23rd at 1:15, and we'll just do it via Zoom.
Okay.
And like I said, I'll post it. We'll have it posted on the branches like we do with our meetings, and we'll YouTube it, and we'll take care of all that. So
Can I follow up, Gina, on something else?
Yeah, sure.
So I would suggest that following that meeting, that the committee plans to stay and do a quick committee meeting as well. I don't know if those have to be live streamed or not, but
yeah, they do.
okay, I would just suggest we go ahead and do a committee meeting to outline what the committee's responsibilities are over that next week as they review those submissions. So we need to make sure that all those submissions get to the committee members either that day or very quickly afterwards, and the scorecards as well. And then we can talk through the scorecards and how to accurately score them and what you need to specifically be looking for.
And I'll make sure Jessica's, they've been working on the scorecards and the interview questions. And I'll send all that information to the committee members, which, just as a reminder, is Katie, Gina, Janine. Who was the other one?
I think it's me.
Oh, Jan, that's right. And then Wendy is our backup in case somebody, can't do it. So if you 4 can plan to stay after the meeting, that would be good.
I would also suggest that each one of you give yourself an alias. Like I've been calling you committee member 1, committee member 2, committee member 3. So that way we can keep things confidential, but still keep track of everybody and make sure that the same people are doing the same scoring.
Jan, Julie, Janine.
Okay.
And Jan.
In addition, there was something in some conversations, Jessica, Gina, going on emails and phone calls. Is it the right move to have Wendy there in all of the meetings, regardless of whether or not the alternate scoring is considered? Because then it's consistent throughout and nobody can say it changed.
Yeah, I would say so.
Can you do that,
I just-
Wendy?
Yeah.
But Wendy wouldn't actually be doing the scoring. She would just be participating.
In case anybody had to drop out.
In case somebody had to drop out.
Right. It sounds, from what Jessica has described, and keep in
That
mind,
sounds right.
yeah, go ahead and fill everything out. And then from the end, we'll say, okay,
I got
committee
you.
member number 2 only did 3 of the 4. We'll take all of Wendy's, or however that works.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay,
Tiny update on master plan. I've spoken with Gina and Joyce about this. In a good way, the Monet Library on our end kind of moved up by a month, and we've put a lot of time and effort into contracts, proposals, and other things. It means that the master plan presentation got moved back a month. We'll be doing that in December. We would have been, by original schedule, we would have been presenting today. We'll get that to you in December.
Okay.
okay. Anything else? Well, thank you, Paragon. Jessica,
Always
Alex?
good to see y'all.
Thank you. Have a good
appreciate
one,
your
guys.
time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay.
Okay, minutes of October. Have you all
And
read
thank
those?
you, Julie, for catching that I didn't get those in there.
You're welcome.
Has everyone read them?
Mhm.
Okay, we need a motion to approve.
I so move.
I second.
Thank you, Julie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Financial report.
Who was first? Who made the motion?
Jan.
I did.
Jan. Did you get the second? Okay.
Second. Yeah.
Okay, so for October, we had income of 63,818.56. We were pleased that we actually received state aid, and it's at the same amount that we got this time last year. We got state equalization, and it's just slightly less. It looks like maybe about $400 less than what we got last year. And we also got some A&E funds, which is about about $1,500 less. And so remember, I didn't budget for any of those because there was some doubt as to whether the governor would withhold. And so we were thrilled to get that money. So that's a nice little additional boost to our income. Otherwise, it's just pretty much what we typically collect at this time of year. And we're slightly ahead year to date by about 14,000 compared to where we were last year. And then in our expenses, we're right on target with our expenses right now, other than we'll have a big payment that we'll have to make to the roofing company, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we're at about 160,210.82 in what we expended this month, which is a little lower than where we've been the last couple of months because we haven't had as many expenses. Been trying to toe the line there.
We've had branches closed.
Yeah, we've had several branches closed on and off. So in checking operations, we have 344,000. So we're behind about 32,000 from last year, and then about 140,000 from October of 2018. We're going to be on a thin razor, as I keep saying, until we get that new tax money in. But we think
We're better than I thought we were.
Yeah, we're better than we thought. And we're hoping still not to have to cash that CD for savings operations. That's sort of our emergency. We can't make payroll money. So, and it's actually a little more than 100,000 with the interest, but
I think we're good though.
yeah. And then we have 615,000 roughly in the reserve fund for Monet construction. And then we have about 182,000 in the Shell Knob account. So I think we're doing pretty good, better than I anticipated. So we anticipated.
Yeah.
Okay, need a motion to approve the financial report?
I so move.
Thank you, Janine. Need a second?
I second.
Okay, Charles, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Circulation stats.
Okay, so in spite of the fact that Aurora was only open 8 days, and let's see, Monette was only open 16 days. We actually, I thought, did pretty well on overall circulation at 17,981. We're still down from last year, but again, part of that's the difference between how TLC counts versus Evergreen. So I don't know what to say about that.
And it's COVID, it's COVID facts too.
Yeah, and COVID as well. And then you can see we're about even, Stephen, with this time last year with MoLib to go, but we're 600 checkouts over where we were this time last year with Hoopla. I'm pretty sure we're going to get rid of Ancestry. Even before COVID, it really isn't being used that much to justify almost $4,000 a year. So when you break it versus what we're paying, it's way too much per transaction. So I'm thinking that might be something that goes away. There's still Heritage Quest, which is part of our MoreNet package. So it's not like people wouldn't be able to have access. And I think a lot of people now are just buying Ancestry on their own. It's pretty reasonable. And I know
You're freezing.
Mm-hmm. He's frozen. Frozen.
Okay, she'll be back.
I wonder if that's a calendar year subscription, like where they could post it, you know, in the libraries, whatever you want, get it before December 31st. You know,
Absolutely.
if that's a calendar year thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a warning. Hey, Gina.
You're on mute, Gina. You're on mute.
okay, sorry. I don't think it ends at the end of the year. I think it's like January, February, maybe. I'll have to look that up. But that's a good idea that it's going to go away and if you want to use it. But only 19 uses in the month of October.
Yeah, the problem with it is that you can't get anything off of it once your subscription ends. I had it for a while and it's, I can't get back into it without my login and password and them charging me $77 for 6 months.
Wow.
I think it's a lot. Yeah.
One of the things that really hurts its use in the library is that it has to be used in the library. It cannot be used remotely. And that's just not how people expect an online resource to work. You know, so it's not living up to the expectation of the typical user.
Well, it used to be that way, that you could use it from home once you signed up at the library.
No.
Ancestry's always, they've never allowed libraries to have remote access. In fact, it used to be more restrictive. We could only have like 2 simultaneous users. So if Regina was using it and Greg was using it and Deborah wanted it, she had to wait till one of you two got off of it. It's just, that is their terms that they will not change. And when they were going to allow us to do this during the closure, the pandemic closure at the first of the year, they didn't even have a way for us to do remote. We were going to have to set it up ourselves.
Well, I helped the senior center do it, set up their remote. So I know right now they are letting people do that, but it's you have to go in through our website.
Yeah, and
And
it was, the
But it
problem
also has
was
to do with us being
for
tax
us
budget.
was the authentication of the customer records and setting up the SIP2 connection to do all that was too difficult to manage. So a little different. So computer use, we're down, but really not as bad as I think we could be. I mean, 1,197, considering all the things that have been going on, is not too bad. And then let's see, curbside use is still pretty good. Shell Knob is rocking it. I asked Tracy, I said, are those like actually 51 customers or is it 51 books? And she said it's 51 customers. So Shell Knob, people are really making use of that curbside delivery. So that's really, encouraging. On your programming, I'm sure you noticed that there's a lot of stuff that's on here now that wasn't before, because it's pretty tight. And that's, as I told you last time, we were going to have a change because we have to report things differently than we've had to in the past, with virtual versus recorded, virtual live versus virtual recorded. But the bottom line is we did 144 programs with 3,700 program attendees, which is pretty good considering a lot of those are virtual programs, passive programs, and not nearly the number of in-house or outside programs, I guess you could say. So I'm pretty pleased with that overall. The take-home kits have been a really big thing, and we really plan to push that when we do SRC next summer, with some programming kits for customers to check out as well. So, and everybody, when we've had to close, most of our customers have been pretty understanding about all that. So.
okay, and anything else on that? Okay, director's report.
Okay, so we've not only had to close Aurora and Monette, but we also had to close Mount Vernon for several days because one of the staff members came down with COVID, and she worked with all but one staff member, and the staff member that wasn't exposed has managed to keep Miller open most of the time. They did have to close half a day Friday last week, and they were not open yesterday because we didn't have anybody to work it. Then the biggest news of the day is, and the thing that's caused us the most grief right now, is that Delta Roofing started work on the Mount Vernon roof Friday. As you know, Friday or late Friday, early morning Saturday, we had torrential rains. Saturday, 60 mile an hour winds.
And hail.
Saturday, late morning, lunchtime, something like that, I got a text from Cindy Rinker that one of the staff had gone into Mount Vernon to get something she needed for her computer, and there was water damage. So if you're familiar with the Mount Vernon branch, essentially the entire Fiction area and that center section was all affected. So about 1,100 square feet total. She said she could actually hear the staff member walking on the carpet in the squishing sounds. So I hurriedly got dressed because I have to admit, I still in my jammies. So, and I came up to here and I called the insurance company and ServPro. and got things started. Of course, there's ServPro couldn't do anything until the water leaking stopped. And they don't tarp roofs or anything. So I couldn't get a hold of Delta Roofing, and I left multiple messages, frantic messages. And of course, then Saturday evening, early Sunday morning, we had worse rain, hail, and wind in that area. So long story short, there's quite a bit of damage. They did manage to tarp all the bookshelves Friday afternoon. Melvin, bless his heart, went over there, and Mike, the custodian, worked, and they got everything covered in plastic. So I did finally speak with Delta Roofing on Sunday. He apologized profusely. He said, I didn't think to check Dad's email or phone messages, and that's where I discovered your message. Long story short, the edge of the building where the water leaked was not, the tarp had come loose where they had tarped it down. And so they're going to take responsibility for all the damages. So it will not go on our insurance. I've already canceled that. So yesterday we sent 4 people from Monette, and they started taking, all the books have to come off the shelves. So they started doing that. So if you were to walk in the branch right now, there are books on the floor, books on the tables to get them off those shelves. And then we have 2 people, well, that some of the team went back today because they didn't get it done yesterday. They worked more than 8 hours, really. And 2 people are disassembling the shelves so they can be moved because they have to get to that carpet that's underneath the shelving. And we did not want ServPro doing that because book shelving there's a certain way it needs to be done. And so at any rate, that's going on today. We had to rent a pod because there's nowhere to put the shelving because the books are taking up all the space. And so we had to do that. Joyce got that this morning. And then once everything's out of that area, ServPro will come in. They're going to take down 1,100 square feet of the ceiling because there's so much water damage to the tiles and the insulation that's on top of the tiles. And then they'll clean or extract the water out of the carpet and thoroughly clean it, sanitize it, and put fans down on top of the carpet to dry. The saving grace here is that it's a concrete slab. And so we don't have to worry about a subfloor damage or a basement below or anything like that. And there was no damage to that we know of to the sheetrock. So now I'm going to talk to Delta Roofing about doing the replacement of the tiles and the insulation in the ceiling because ServPro doesn't do that. That's up to us to take care of. And then we'll submit a list to Delta Roofing about what we've had to incur in costs, and then books as well. I don't remember how many books. It wasn't as bad as they thought, but I bet they're up to 100 or 200 books that were damaged. So all that has to be withdrawn and reordered. And so there's quite a bit of moving parts to this, but it's all going to be taken care of. I just don't know at what point. We had thought maybe Mount Vernon could open Monday, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more likely that it's going to be midweek or after Thanksgiving, because once everything dries out, we have to get all that shelving put back up, and then we have to get all the books back on the shelves. We can reopen and have the ceiling open. That's fine, but we can't reopen when people can't even walk into the stacks area.
Yeah.
So,
and the mold sets up in 24 hours.
Yeah,
and it's already started.
It had already started creeping up. The book end or the book panels are on the end of those shelves are wood, and it had already started to stain the wood. So
So did they anybody ask them why they went ahead with the forecast like it was? I mean, just out of curiosity, did they have any explanation for that?
He said, I talked to the owner's son, and he said that the forecast at the time he checked it, it was only 50% chance of rain. And so they decided to go ahead and get
That's enough.
started. And he said, they usually tarp it down. I mean, everything else held, but he said with all the gravel and stuff, and he said they had to, I don't understand how they tied it down, but he said they cleaned and cleaned and cleaned. And this particular corner, that whatever they used to tie it down came loose.
Well, you had
So-
60-mile-an-hour winds in Lawrence County, so it
Yeah.
was,
In some ways it was,
yeah.
it really wasn't their fault. I mean, it's just the way the weather was. A gentle rain probably wouldn't have leaked, or leaked enough that it would have really hurt anything, but it is what it is. So,
Well, and my husband, the farmer, would tell you that their forecasts are the pits. He doesn't believe them anymore either. So
Yeah.
you plan for the worst and
I hope for the best.
hope
but
for the
yeah.
best.
Right.
Yeah. And be grateful when it doesn't happen, so yeah. And he said, he was funny. He said, it never leaks, like over the bathroom. It always has to leak over like the server room or something, something major. So,
Mhm.
both Aurora and Monette have asked for permission to do a blanket drive. We've had branches in the past that have done like a peanut butter and jelly drive and so forth, but I just wanted to get permission from you all. We don't, in the past, you have not allowed us to do like Toys for Tots or have big containers to collect
Drop-off
things
boxes.
for other entities. But this is something we're initiating. The teen group here at Monette, we have a teen group, y'all, and there's like 12 teens. This has never happened in the whole time I've been here. They want to do a blanket drive for the homeless here. And I can't remember what Aurora has a plan, but I don't remember who it was for. But if it's all right with you, I think it's fine to do.
Okay, can we have a motion on that, please? Wendy?
Yeah, I'll move. I'm assuming that they have to be like clean and new and
Yeah.
They should, yeah.
packaged and all that.
Definitely.
Okay.
I can't guarantee that's what customers will do, but yeah. Who made the second?
I'll make it.
Okay, Charles.
All in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and I just,
Thank the Boris for thinking of.
my plan for the December meeting is to have some finance companies come make a presentation to you. I wanted to get started on this because we are going to have to finance probably 90% of the Monette project. And so I've already got LJ Hart, who we've used before and who does a lot of the school projects. And then I'm going to contact Commerce Bank, who also worked with us on the Cassville, Marionville financing. And then if you all have a suggestion for somebody else, because you have to be a certain kind of bank to finance public works. So this would be lease purchase certificates. And what I talked with LJ Hart about was I told him what I thought we could probably make as a payment every year. And so that's how he's going to work backwards from that to see how long we would have to finance it. So I said we could start at 100,000 a year, but no more than 200,000, guessing, because since I don't know yet what our tax collections are going to be, and that's about what we did in the past, is right around 100,000. And that'll be the principal and the interest payments. And so probably 12-ish years. And all in the past, it's been lease purchase certificates, and we're not penalized for paying it off early. And we paid off Marionville, Cassville 2 years early.
Mhm.
So, and that
And
way,
once we-
if we do get donations, then once it starts, then we can make extra payments using those donations, but then we're not relying on donations to get the project started. So when we start construction, we already have the financing in place and we can move forward. And I told him that we would to tell us what it would be to finance 4 million, because we know it's probably going to cost more than 4 million, because we're going to have furniture and stuff as well. So it's just better to go ahead and finance the full amount. And if we don't have to use all of it, then, and that's what we've had to do in the past. So
Yeah.
The questions I asked him didn't seem like I was throwing him for a loop or anything. And he said we were doing the right thing by starting early so that when we're ready to go in the spring, we're ready to rock and roll.
Good. Oh, there's Katie. I thought we lost her. Okay, we need a motion to approve the director's report.
So
Anybody?
moved.
Julie, thank you. Second? Deborah, thank you.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Delta Dental Health and Vision renewals.
Okay. The dental vision is the easy no-brainer. There's no changes. There's no increases this year on either dental or vision. Our dental and vision is from the same company. It's Delta Dental. So employee renewal rate is $46.37. It was $46.37 last year. And I don't remember what sorry, I didn't write down what the cost was for vision, but it's like, what, $8 a person, $6, can't remember. It's not very much. So that's the easy one. On the health insurance, so right now we have Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we currently pay roughly just under $15,000 a month for our premiums for the employees that are on the plan. And right now it's based on your age. And so your premiums, if you're older, are significantly higher than if you're 30. I think our most expensive person is like $1,200 a month. And our least expensive is like right around $500 a month, or actually it might even be a little bit less. So when they submitted their renewal, it really didn't change significantly. It only went up 2.74%, and everything pretty well stayed the same. The deductible stayed the same, but the out-of-pocket goes from $4,900 to $6,500 for the employee. That's probably the most significant thing. So I think I told you back in the summer that, or maybe it was the first of the year, Randy Bell, who's our broker, he attended something called MIWA, which is a Chamber of Commerce insurance thing. And we've been members of the Chamber of Commerce here in Monette for years.
Oh, yeah.
And also in Aurora and in Cassville. So we qualify to participate in the MIWA plan. Well, MIWA, and it stands for something, don't ask me, I have no idea. I know I have it written somewhere, but I don't remember. So with MIWA, because there's more people that are on that plan and we join it, it's also Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield. But if you look at this sheet, that it says Bell and Associates Group Insurance quotes at the top, and it has Anthem, BCBS, on one line, and then it has Anthem MEWA proposals. That's what I'm looking at. So if you look at this, if we went with the MEWA Plan 5, our deductible single would be $1,500. And the out-of-pocket would be $4,500. So already we're way better than for the employee than we were staying with Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, the plan we are currently on. But here's the big thing. It saves us $5,000 a month, which is
Wow.
significant considering I budgeted a 25% increase because I didn't know what to expect this year, especially if the Affordable Care Act got repealed, because we as a work group have actually benefited from that. I know not every work group has, but at any rate. And then if you look at Plan 3, the deductible goes up to $2,000. But the out-of-pocket goes down to $4,000, and there's no co-insurance. And it's only about not quite $700 a month more on the premiums, but we still are saving about $5,000 a month. So my recommendation would be that we switch to MEWA, because $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 a year. That right there funds pay increases.
Yay.
Because I'm always looking for a way. And actually, even better, we saved that 25% that I had budgeted over the 14,000. So we have some money, wiggle room in the budget because of that. So at any rate, I would say that the Plan 3 might be the better option for the employee, in that even though it's a higher deductible, there's no co-insurance when you go for your visits.
You mean
otherwise, well, it's called co-insurance. Co-pays are different. They still have co-pays, but with Anthem, you still have to pay a certain percentage of the overall cost of the visit.
Oh,
It's complicated, but in the bottom line is it saves the employee money, and we're still saving money. So you all can decide what you want to do, but that one looks like it not only benefits the library, but it benefits the staff as well. What do you think?
what y'all,
I'm sorry, what, Gina?
what do y'all think? It's kind of a toss-up to me whether you pay the 20% or the deductibles are always something that
The other thing, if you look at well, no, it doesn't matter on this one. Never mind. It is a little less expensive for urgent care and for emergency room, but we don't have people that make very many of those visits. So 5%.
Well, right now, that out-of-pocket expense for most of our employees, which some of them are single, payers. I mean, they're not married. They don't have anybody else. They're single income people. That out-of-pocket expense is a chunk of change if you had to come up with that, to meet medical expenses.
To me, Anthem Blue Cross, the current plan, I think we just make it go away. But the MEWA, I think we really need to, whether we do Plan 3 or 5, we should do MEWA.
Oh, absolutely. But, trying to make that decision.
It would be, the Plan 3 would be $500 more for the deductible, but it would be $500 less for the out-of-pocket. So that's almost a wash. But you don't have to pay that 20% co-insurance, and that can get expensive.
True.
Especially when you're having, I don't know about anybody else, but I have to have an echocardiogram every year, and it's about $1,500 even with insurance.
Well, we can definitely afford either one of these.
What do you?
Whatever you think.
To me, Plan 3 is kind of the best we can do that we can offer our employees. And, since we don't have retirement, we don't have certain other benefits, the more we can help them on their insurance, especially with everything that's going on right now, the better off we would, certainly our employees would be.
How much of insurance do they pay now?
$100 a paycheck.
Okay.
Certainly
not
keeps us,
unreasonable.
this keeps us from having to raise it, because that's what I was afraid of, is that we would not only have an increase, but we'd have to have employees do a higher contribution, and we aren't going to have to do that, I don't think.
And since we have no increase for dental or vision, that also helps offset any increase in the premium. But actually, as far as we can tell, this actually saves. It's kind of a no-brainer. It saves us and it saves the employee. And it's still Anthem Blue Cross. We're not having to change plans. They're not having to change doctors, and it pretty much is a wash as far as them having to keep up with their own plan.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the MIWA Blue Access Plan 3. Wendy, need a second?
I so move.
All in favor?
Second it.
I think, Jan, were you the first?
Who was the second?
Who was the second?
I
Jan,
did.
Oh,
I did, but I think somebody else did too.
okay. We got enough seconds, so there you go.
Yep.
Can we include that you approved Delta Dental in that same motion? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's how I got it in the motion.
Okay.
okay, we have all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, this is great.
Okay. Got that taken care of. Online swag. Mr. Greg, you're up. Unmute.
Okay, I've got, I'm gonna do a screen share here. So can everybody see my marketing, merchandise online and fundraising online? Okay, great. Basically, setting up an online store. This is not like a really big, pivotal decision or anything, but it is kind of fun and kind of just a cool thing to talk to, let you know about. The online store and store merchandise, they kind of go hand in hand with fundraising online. I basically have the store and a lot of the products already set up. Just I needed to do that to test it to see what the costs and things would be. Costs are not outrageous. They're not cheap on the goods, the way that I have the store through the provider that I have set up currently. As you see here, you can see that we got a lot of things from cell phone cases to neck gaiters to sock caps. A lot of different products we'd be able to offer. That's kind of one of the benefits of this, is it's really cool to be able to set up a lot of online branded products. This is an example of the quick view. So that's a big canvas bag, $17. It's just an example of the products we'd be able to do through this program. So kind of swag or merch. One of the cool things about it is we'd be able to offer, I'm set up product templates like this one that you see here, this kid. And then they can go through and I can select which colors of shirts work with that, for instance, logo. and then they can select which color they want. So when they're ordering, there's a wide selection of what you can have. And so the benefit of this from a marketing standpoint is we get people have access to our gear. You know, our brand is out there, and people could, you know, people that are stakeholders or online fans of the library can take part in that. We have a lot of unique things we can offer, like this is our concept for the Tales with Tales, which is the next summer reading program. And so we can offer a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool designs. These are full color prints, which is something kind of new. We, you know, with the price is okay, and we can do those. And the next part of this is that if we set this up, we already have PayPal. You know, we could also take donations online. Because that wouldn't be any bigger step. We already have PayPal, we already have an online store, and with the COVID and creating a much more virtual sort of world, I think donations online make more sense now than they used to.
I
So,
forgot to tell you, Greg, that they approved online donations at the last meeting.
oh, I wasn't there.
No,
Okay, well,
sorry, and
well, that's
yeah.
okay because I mean I can just give a little bit of information on how we can also use the system that we have. Some of the cool things I figured out about this, just going through and testing how PayPal works for taking donations, is that if you have a PayPal account, you can make reoccurring donations or just a click away. So that's kind of a cool feature. That I don't know if you
$1,000 a month.
that yeah. $1,000 a month. Hey, you know what? Think big. And also PayPal allows these QR codes, which you can put that on printed merchandise and like printed things for people to just scan and make a donation like that, which is kind of also cool way for doing donations. Like I said, this isn't like anything super pivotal or groundbreaking, but it is kind of cool that we might be able to offer this. And I think there's a benefit to just our overall appearance, being able to get our brand out there. So did I cover all the bases, Gina? Did I?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have any questions about it? Any suggested products? No swag that you have your heart set on, Janine?
No. It looks good to me.
Yeah, a lot of the products are really neat. They're really cool. The program that I've been vetting is called Printful, and it's a pretty slick system.
This actually came about because I saw on one of my director list things, a discussion that came up where another library is doing this. And I said to Greg, hey, this is pretty cool. Can we do this? And so he ran with it. And I said, we really need to get the board to approve it. So before we move forward, but it's not going to cost us anything. So
no, that's one of the neat parts about it is that this is all on demand printing. So we're not carrying any merchandise. If we want, we could print up a batch of things and offer them online. The way that I have it set up right now is absolutely no warehouse, no inventory. It's just print on demand, which is
it's directly shipped to them, and we're not making we don't want to make a profit on this.
That in itself gives us an advantage, by the way.
Yeah.
Is because we're not setting it to most of these prices are set up so then the seller does a markup. But we don't have to do a markup or just a minuscule markup to just cover incidental costs. And so that makes our products cheaper than these retail products would normally be available. So, like for instance, an embroidered library polo was like $16. that's pretty cheap for an embroidered men's polo shirt, you know.
Mhm.
So this wouldn't be for fundraising efforts then?
Mm-mm.
It 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 could play into that. That's a good question, Katie. It that we could also utilize this for donations, or we could utilize the same system to do like fundraiser shirts. Like if someone donates to a certain level, we could give them, like a library hoodie, for $1,000 donation or whatever. We would have the ability to sort of set that up really easy, and we wouldn't have to carry a inventory of those shirts, which is kind of the problem of offering something like that, is that you don't know how many donations you're going to have, and you're trying to think positive, and you're like, oh, we need to get 1,000 of those things, and then you're stuck with a box that you paid $3,000 for, and you don't have enough people to hand them out to, and I think we've had that problem in the past where we've printed a bunch of shirts to sell because everyone was so sure we would sell them, and then we ended up having them for a while.
Only got one thing.
I know
So-
in the past, I've purchased a tote bag from the Friends of the Library. And I'm not sure what they did with the money, but even just having an example in the library, and then they could go online to order it, and they know how much is going to the Monette building plan or whatever we're raising money for, I think is a good selling point.
And I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that. I have it set up now with like a minimal or zero. You basically are just buying the product, but we could add a markup that would all be donations, and I wouldn't know why that would violate any policy.
I think we'd have to do that as the Friends of the Library for Monette. Although we're a tax-free entity, so it shouldn't be a problem because we're a 501c3 as well as a political subdivision.
That's what I was thinking, is that we could take we can take donations right now. If somebody walked in the door and said, I want to make a donation to the Barry Lawrence Regional Library, here's my $1,000 a month. We can do that. So that's all I got. Any other questions?
You may have mentioned this, but could those be given as rewards for summer reading? I mean, you may have talked about that.
Oh, for summer reading? Well, yeah, if we're going to do
no.
Yeah. Yes and no. We could do that though, Gina, if we got donations to cover them.
Oh yeah, we could if we got. The problem is that when you have 400 kids reading and you're doing a $10 t-shirt, that's $4,000 for t-shirts. And that's just a lot of money to put into that.
But if somebody wanted to, like most all of our rewards, because rewards can't be grant funded, so most all of our rewards are funded through donation, or at least partially through donation,
or our budget.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we had a if we had a sponsor who said, I think it'd be awesome if every kid got a t-shirt, and I'm willing to put up that $4,000.
Then we could do that.
Then we could. I like to try to figure out a yes.
Yeah.
We have to find a funder that will give us $4,000 for summer reading.
Really?
We can't even get Walmart to give us the $2,500 they used to give us every year.
Really?
I'd like to find a way that we could incorporate our fundraising into selling these products. Is there?
Greg and I can talk more about it and see what we can come up with. We just wanted to have a starting point to do this.
Yeah, this is just stage one. This is like we could right now. I could put donations onto each of these products right now. I mean, it's not live yet. It's just sort of like behind the scenes right now. But when it goes live, we could add a certain amount of donation money to every product we sell, and include in each item's description that 100% of the profit or proceeds go to the library. So, yeah, we could certainly do that. But I honestly think one of the best things is in our fundraising appeals that we could utilize some of these really nice products, you know, like a library hoodie as a leveled gift, like a appreciation. So if someone does sign up for $1,000 donation, then they should get, you know, a really sweet library full zip hoodie with it has embroidered library logo on it, as appreciation. That's just tried and true. And I mean, I hardly know any donation scheme that doesn't sort of have that into it. If that is that kind of what you were thinking, Julie?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, but you bet
And something that's one size fits all, you know, like those covers. It's gonna be mandated before you know it.
Sure.
We all have to have one, and that's one size fits all. You
Yeah,
don't have to worry about a size.
and if we and the benefit of this on-demand system is as we go, because we're not a huge organization with 100,000 donor, you know, base that we're, you know, drawing from, because we're sort of one off. This allows us to do it one off. If we just do one hoodie because we got one big donation, which that's kind of how our donations come in. You know, we have like one person come in and say, I want to give $5,000 to the library. Well, we can give them a really nice thank you gift. And we can also set up a leveled giving, which is something that I've been kind of working on behind the scenes. And if we set up a leveled giving system, this could also be part of that, where, you know, $1,000 get you a hoodie or whatever.
But lesser amounts could get something else, right?
Yeah, like the gator. The gator on this only costs like $12.
Right.
So we could certainly give that to a $50 donor. You still made, you know, $38.
Right.
So
one thing, I don't know if this would interfere with your levels, but one thing I've seen recently with people trying to make money is they have a t-shirt or whatever item it is, and they say suggested donation, and then you get this t-shirt. But you can make a donation for any amount and still get the t-shirt. Does that make, like, you have to at least make $5 donation or whatever it is.
Right.
And then, but you could donate $1,000. So you have like 1,000 people walking around in Monette with the donation t-shirt. So you know that they donated money, and then somebody else wants the t-shirt.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And that's even if like that, the dollars and cents on that doesn't make sense. A $5 donation doesn't actually cover a t-shirt. A t-shirt costs about $8, you know, for a typical run. But it actually does make sense because you're getting the message out that that person's a donor. So that's actually a kind of a good point. But yeah, I mean, we certainly could do that. It's you know, it's there's a lot of different options with how to set up the levels. That could certainly be like level 1, you know.
Good idea.
Yeah, very good idea.
So do you all want Greg to move forward with this and we can test it out and just see how it goes and see if anybody actually buys anything?
You have to have
Do we need a motion for this?
Yes.
Probably.
So is it, I know he said it wasn't expensive, but is there any cost to us if we don't sell anything?
No.
Okay.
Just Greg's time, and he's already expended that.
Right. No, I've already pretty much got it set up. I mean, I just have to sort of push go live and then it'll happen. There'll be a little bit more to that because I have to set up some of the back end, the PayPal and, you know, getting the linking the money to the shop, but that's about it. So.
And is this pretty good quality stuff? We're not going to have like unhappy library customers because their shirt is bad or whatever.
Probably not, but I say probably not. I mean, the company is a reputable company with multiple distribution centers all across the whole world, actually. So, like one of the things that I set up was whether I wanted only to draw from American source products or worldwide source products.
Mhm.
As far as the quality goes, you would have to almost get, as you mentioned, have a live in-person product in the library.
Mhm.
As an example, you'd almost have to order a product to know for sure what the product is going to look like. That's kind of like the one sort of hidden cost. So it's a good point to bring up, is that we probably would want to just order a couple sample products here just to see what it's really going to look like. The reviews online say it looks great. They don't send out, like, I can't just request free samples. They
Mhm.
they don't do that. So you have to buy samples. But like I said, the $12 shirt, $16 shirt. I mean, it's not a huge expense to get it to get
Did
it.
you pick American made or did you pick
Yes.
worldwide? Okay.
I did only American because for a couple reasons, but one of them was the delivery times. Is that if
Yeah,
someone
and
delivers a shirt,
China's sizes are way different than ours.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. On Amazon, you always have to check out for that.
Right.
Yeah,
But yeah,
they're way smaller.
yeah, it's like if you want to actually be able to wear it, you got to get like a 7X.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like my daughter, who's like this big, would be a large.
Yeah.
Right. That's actually
She's
true,
an
I
extra
think.
small
It is
and
true.
American.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, these are only American produced and only American sourced products. And the biggest reason for that was just simply because delivery times. I didn't want someone to order a shirt and then go, okay, 1 month later you'll get it.
Right. So you could order a few things for samples to put in the library, and that wouldn't put us under any obligation to be, have to get 500 more. You could
No.
just,
No,
okay.
it's absolutely everything. Every product that I've got set up now. That's why I kind of want to do a wide sampling of products. As you
Mhm.
saw on my images here on the screen share, I've got all kinds of things from hats to jackets, whatever. I wanted to see what the price spreads would be and
Mhm.
what the design options were.
Mhm.
And really like basically set up a big store with, I think I have like maybe 30 products already set up. And so I wanted to see what it would look like and what the prices would be, and if it was something that even made sense. And it looks like it's going to be, some stuff is kind of expensive. A T-shirt, a screen printed T-shirt is actually not very cost effective under this system because you're just getting them one at a time. But embroidered things are very cost effective, as an example, because everything is kind of embroidered one at a time. So
Yeah.
when we get a live example up, I'll send a link out to everybody so you can check it out and shop around a little bit, get some, buy some yourselves.
Mhm.
I'd still like to figure out a way to make some donation money.
We can do that. We can
Okay.
add donations to it. That's no problem.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess I approve does it have to be a motion, Gina?
So,
Yeah.
yep, you have to.
Okay.
Yeah. So Julie's making the
I'm
motion.
making the motion to approve the,
Need a second?
I'll second.
Deborah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Job accommodation request.
Okay, so we have an employee at Mount Vernon. Her name is Kimberly Rosso, I think is how you say it. She has only worked for us 2 months.
Yeah.
At that. She has requested time off and she's part-time. I can't remember, 20 hours a week. I don't remember.
Mhm.
At any rate, she's requested time off for a mission trip from June 6th through August 14th, which is
All
2
summer.
months, pretty much all summer. And so when Cindy first approached me, I said she'd have to do a job accommodation request and it has to be approved by the board. So that's why it's here today, because she needs to know if she's approved or not. If she's not, then she'll just cancel doing the trip. So typically, we don't usually approve time off for employees who have worked for us for less than a year. That's, at least in the past, we have not. My main concern is that Mount Vernon is extremely busy in the summer. And I honestly don't know how they would cover not having even a part-time person in the busiest time of the year.
This is summer reading club, summer
Mhm.
reading time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Is
when
there
did you start?
She
When did
started,
It hasn't been very long. I think it was either August or September.
I don't have.
Mhm. So it's new if you
She's
don't have
new
the
enough.
photo yet.
She's not, I don't have her file in my
But it's not
file
even
cabinet
filed yet.
yet because Joyce doesn't have all the stuff.
But then
done.
the idea that, you apply for, you interview for, you accept a job, and right off the bat, you're asking for accommodations is never a good sign.
Yeah,
Because, knowing she was going to ask for this, and she knew it already, she had to, that if you do it for her, then you set a precedent, and we have to go with that too. So,
yeah.
It's one thing to ask for, my concern is that, if it was 2 weeks, I don't think that'd be as big an issue, but I mean,
But somebody has to fill those hours while she's gone.
yeah,
And, do we really want to go to the time and trouble of training somebody for a temporary position for a job that's needed? I mean, I think that's a real slippery slope to go down to do, and to put us in that position in the middle of summer reading.
there are other
Yeah.
positions. They have another one that's 32 hours, so she couldn't work any more hours. It would be really hard for the part-timers to share those hours, that the current part-timers, you'd almost have to hire somebody, or they would just have to work short. If we hire
That's not
it's a wash because we're not paying her for that
Right.
time because she's part-time. I mean, she wouldn't have earned enough vacation to cover it. So there's no concern about it costing us more. It's really the time of having to cover that. So, and
Do
we're
we
just
have
not a big enough staff.
do we have a precedent of denying these kind of accommodations for less than a year of service?
Well, I mean, it's not really a matter of whether it's less than a year. I mean, that's not really the policy or whatever. I mean, it's what effect it has on the branch. And yes, we have denied people, certain accommodations if it put a stress on the staffing of a particular branch. We don't really have anything in the policy that says you have to work here a year before you can ask for an accommodation.
It's just typical.
It's just that we have never, in the past, we have denied people if it looked like, and especially, it's not like it's a sick leave thing. It's not like, it's a family emergency type situation. I mean, it's basically just something you want to do. It's like we've interviewed and offered positions to people who turned right around and told us, so, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to take a 3-week vacation in 2 weeks. Well, we wouldn't have hired you had we known that to begin with. Probably if she had told us up front that she was planning this, we wouldn't have hired her then also, because summer reading is probably the most stressful time for most of these branches. And to have a really busy branch shorthanded already going into summer reading really is not fair to the other employees either. And so, yeah, we've not had that particular thing because there's nothing, you know, in the policy that says you have to work here a year before anything. But it does,
Okay.
you know, it does depend on what kind of a stress it puts on the branch.
And seniority does play a factor in time off.
Right.
So if we had somebody else who needed to take any time off during that period of time, it's really going to put more stress on the branch. Because they do, I mean, we do have staff that take summer vacations.
Yeah.
And you
But
kind
that's a
of
schedule thing and
work
you've
that
earned it.
out, but
Mhm.
when you already have your short one person, it makes it a lot more challenging to
Yeah.
cover.
How long
Okay.
has this person been employed with us?
Less than 2 months.
Yeah.
Well, my comment on that is she wasn't quite upfront with us that as soon as she got on the payroll, she wanted 2 months off. And I think that's a little extreme to expect us to do.
I do too.
Agreed.
Well, then we need it in a motion, please.
Before you go any further, what will she do if you tell her she can't? Do you think will
Well,
she quit?
the supervisor said that when they talked about it, that she just won't do the mission trip. She just needs to know now,
Okay.
so they can find somebody to replace her.
Okay. Just curious.
So we still need.
I make a motion we deny this request.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Thank you, Debbie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried to deny.
Aye.
Job app, okay, got that. Holiday request.
So there's two things I want to talk about, and you can say no. I mean, you know, I just figure I'd ask and we'd see. Typically, our holidays now are not nearly as busy as they used to be, especially as people do more online shopping and they're also using our e-resources. So I would like to suggest that we do away with the Veterans Day holiday and instead close the day after Thanksgiving. So we would be closed Thursday and Friday every year for Thanksgiving and the Friday after. But we would keep the Veterans holiday on the books for anybody who's actually a veteran. So we would only give the Veterans Day holiday to actual veterans, which we don't have any right now on staff, I don't think. So that's my first suggestion. We used to be super busy the day after Thanksgiving because people would come in, get videos for the weekend and so forth. And that's not been the case with Black Friday and online shopping and all that stuff for quite some time. And this would not start until next year, obviously, because we've already had Veterans Day this year. And I don't think we need to add an extra holiday. I think we have plenty of holidays on the books where the board has been very generous with that in the past. So that's why I'm not asking for an additional one. The other thing I wanted to bring to you is this came up in the director's discussion group. And so I thought it really wasn't a bad idea. And this is a one-time request because of COVID and the pandemic and everything. So this is not an every year thing that I'd like to request. So this discussion came up about closing the library between Christmas and New Year's. And the reason I'm requesting it is it has been a stressful year, y'all. The staff have done a fantastic job. They're having to wear masks every day. They're having to deal with customers who aren't happy with us. And it's getting worse. In the beginning, people were pretty compliant, and now they're getting upset because they don't want to wear masks. Nobody wants to wear masks. It's getting worse in our two counties, and it's just with the Thanksgiving holidays coming up, people are a little edgy about it. Also, I have grave concerns as people, which we know they're going to. A lot of people have decided not to do family gatherings, but a lot of people are going to do them anyway. And so I'm concerned about everybody goes and does family things for Christmas, and then they all come back to work and we're all exposed, and we're all, we may end up having to close branches again. And so this is just a chance for us to not have any of that exposure after holiday gathering, family gatherings, but also just to give the staff a break. And we could have the branches deep cleaned at that point too. The staff could spend a few hours getting them all cleaned up and ready to go and get caught up in a few things. But the idea is not to make them come in and work every day, but to truly have a break. So there are several libraries. I just got an email from Carrie, who's in Neosho, and her board just approved them doing that very thing. So
Is it paid or unpaid?
it'd all be paid. We're paying anyway, so yeah, this would be a paid, and it's not a holiday. It's just a break and a breather, and also to make sure that we just don't have any more COVID closings.
It's a wellness break. I think
It's a wellness break. And I
I
think,
think
a good one.
again, it's a one-time thing. This is not,
I think with a lot of
and
warning,
also we're really not super busy right now because people are really, I think a lot of people are really trying to stay safe. And typically we're less busy at holidays. And I think we're just not going to be very busy anyway in that week's time. So I don't
Next
think
10 days.
Are you going to put it, like, you could put it on the website and maybe post it at the branches where people knew to get extra
Oh,
books?
yeah, we
And
would
also
definitely
maybe
do that.
Something
Yeah.
Signs at the
promoting
doors
the
or something.
online, promoting Hoopla and all the online
Yeah.
stuff we've still got. I think that would be nice and a nice reward for these people who have worked so hard.
So the idea would be, we're already closed on the 24th and 25th, but we wouldn't reopen until it would be, I think it's January 4th on the Monday. Because I
It's
don't
11
think there's any point in opening for 4 hours on that Saturday.
No.
I think we just wait and open on Monday.
And we truly have absolutely no idea what's going to happen between now and then. I mean, the COVID situation is we're a red state again. We're in the high numbers of new cases that's really exploding in this area. And we've already had probably close to 10 employees now that have had to quarantine for various reasons. We were just told yesterday that Melvin, Casper, our delivery man, they're waiting for the test on his wife. Terry's probably positive. So we've got people that have had to quarantine all over. Either they've come down with it, their family members have come down with it, and it's really stretched everybody. I mean, we've already closed Monette, we've closed Aurora, we've closed Mount Vernon. Miller's just by the skin of our teeth because we happen to have one person that wasn't exposed. But we have no idea what this is going to do. And it may very well be we're quarantined anyway that week. We just don't know. But
I don't know about Lawrence, but I am highly unimpressed with Berry County's recording and reporting of these numbers. I think they're so underreported. And I don't know about Lawrence, but
I get,
Joyce gets
I
daily
get information that a lot of people don't get. And I can tell you right now that, we are constantly being warned because, our son says, I get phone calls all the time saying, I don't care what you're hearing in your area. I have the actual CDC numbers in your area. And I'm telling you, those numbers are far higher than what's being reported in your area. And so he's very concerned about, people that we've already lost. I mean, we ourselves personally have lost 4 friends from this already. And it's a scary situation for everybody. So we don't really know exactly what's going to happen, but we're starting to see the strain on our own employees. Every time you have somebody that comes up positive in your branch, you have to wonder, even if you quarantine, you have to wonder, am I going to be the next one that's going to, come up positive? And it's a scary thing when you've got families and people that you are worried about. So if nothing else, it would give them a break from, and I think I'm awfully afraid that after Thanksgiving, this is going to blow up in our face anyway.
Right.
So I don't know.
I think one thing that saved us, I do think, and I appreciate us having a mask policy.
Yeah.
I do think that has kept it from exploding in our own staff and with our customers. I really do.
And our staff's been very vigilant about mandating, masks to people, but they've also followed the rules. Some of them are over following the rules, but on the other hand, they are vigilant about wearing masks, about disinfecting, wearing gloves, distancing, that sort of thing, because we have an awful lot of people that have underlying health issues that this would be devastating for them if they came down with it. And so I think the staff's done everything they were certainly asked to do, and probably more than that.
I have to agree with, I appreciate hearing what you said that your son told, because all on the streets, all we hear is, it's not as bad as they say it is.
Yeah, well.
When we know better, but I'm like you, it's not going to get any better over these holidays. It's going to get worse, because I know people around here, some of them who are my friends, who I used to think were intelligent people, who are going to go ahead and do it anyway. Have mass, they've already had mass funerals where their people have gotten sick and some of them have died, but now they're all going to have mass gatherings that they have to rent buildings for. And, and then they come into places like the library and then expose everybody. So I think closing would be good.
One of the big problems that all the health people are dealing with right now is perception of the whole thing. Right. And part of the perception is that if you intimately know these people, they're your children, they're your family, that they couldn't possibly be infected. You'd know it. Well, that's no. A complete fallacy. If everybody's nose turned bright blue because they came infected, that'd be fair. But it doesn't happen that way. So just because they're your brother and he looks healthy today doesn't mean that he's not exposing everyone to an infection. He can be positive and be asymptomatic. Right. So that's kind of what everybody's accounting on. Oh, my family's not sick, so therefore they can't possibly be infected.
That's what they're dealing with at the Mount Vernon VA right now, because the people coming into work, they're tested, but they've been home with their kids who are in school, not having to wear a mask, and they may both have it, but they don't know it. So they bring it in and give it to and so, they've kind of got the veterans, they've kind of got them settled down, but the workers are just coming and going and they don't know they have it, even though, they take their temperature, but they've been exposed by their kids who have brought it home. So it's a problem.
We have a motion to approve this one-time closing the week between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day, or to the 4th. Wendy?
Make the motion.
And Janine, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, what about my idea to change Veterans Day to the day after Thanksgiving?
I thought that went in with it. I think that should be.
Okay, that's, but that's not one time, right?
No, that's a permanent.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve moving Veterans Day to the day after Thanksgiving.
I so move.
Julie, second.
Second.
Janine, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I thought the part about letting
You're
veterans.
opposed, Katie?
I thought the part about letting veterans off on Veterans Day was nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be.
Were you opposed to that?
Yes, I want to oppose that one.
Okay,
Okay,
Katie opposes.
okay, okay, all approved and we had one nay, right?
yes.
Katie, you're opposing I want to clarify the Thanksgiving one, right?
Or the
Yes,
Veterans Day?
yes.
Right.
The
The-
Thanksgiving one you're
Yeah,
opposed
the
to?
Black Friday one. I think Veterans Day should be a dedicated holiday, and it seems to go with what the banks do. And that's kind of what you expect, the library to follow the bank. So that's why I'm opposed to it.
Okay, so we have 7 yays and 1 nay. Okay,
Okay, closed session.
Okay, let me stop oh, you have to make a motion first before I can stop
We
it.
need a motion to go into closed session, please.
I make a motion that we go in closed session.
Need a second?
And-
I'll second.
Deborah?
Yes,
Second,
ma'am.
all in favor?
Okay.
Katie? Are you in favor of going into closed session? Yeah, thank you. Any opposed?